I am moved to drop in today. But first, I hope everybody's doing well in these very busy, energetic times that we're living in. It's not always easy to stay centered, and, especially some of us are feeling these really strong waves of energy that can either spark us up and make us feel like we're wired with this underlying feeling of being really bone tired at the same time. So, you know, it's really important to nourish well, not just with food or water, but with also what brings us heart nourishment, soul nourishment, tenderness, kindness, love, even just like, oh, touching our own face. The face and the heart are so connected because our face forms literally on our heart when we're in the fetal stages in our mama's womb. So that there's such great affection that we can give ourselves, heart affection, when we remember our faces. Our faces receive such a lot in life. I mean, they say, face up to it. Um, and that is kind of what we do, especially at the moment. We're facing up to a lot of things. We're facing up to a lot of amazing realities, terrifying realities, realities that we don't even know are really realities. Our faces are the front line of how we communicate, how we share. It's a lot. Our faces carry and hold a lot. And this wasn't anything like I was going to talk about today, but I was just looking at my own face, thinking, oh, face, I love you, you know, regardless of how you're doing in life. Um, and of course, living in Southern California as a woman of a certain age, the face also holds a lot. The overculture and what it's supposed to look like and how it's supposed to age. So, yes, I hope everybody is doing well and finding ways to be kind and gentle and nourishing, finding those, what we call those nourishing pathways, which is sometimes hard, when we're dealing with life's challenges, to remember that that needs to be a priority. Um, I wanted to just share today, particularly because, I'm striking while the iron's hot, so to speak. Um, and my channel is quite active at the moment in, ways that it's always pretty active, but it's very sort of, a lot of things are vying for attention to be shared in many different ways. There must be something going on in my chart with creativity and self-expression, I would imagine, or I've just reached a tipping point and it has to happen now, or I'm going to implode. But yeah, all the different modalities, whether that's movement or painting or making with my hands, putting things together, which I also love to do, or writing, sharing like this. There's just a lot of information that wants to come through me at the moment. I'm curious why now, but I don't really need to know that. I'm just doing my best to surrender to it and be current with it because it does feel important right now for some reason. I was told many years ago, speaking of channels, that by my own higher consciousness, I assume, uh, that I have more than one higher self, you know? It never felt accurate to me to put that in the singular. Um, Multidimensional self feels a lot more accurate to me because it embraces all the selves, all the aspects, the fractals of me that exist in perhaps different timelines and different dimensions. Um, and I think as we move forward into this fast moving Aquarian age, that concept is becoming more readily acceptable, that we are not just this mass of blood and bone and even spirit and soul, singular stuff, that we are really truly multidimensional beings. I'm curious how you experience yourself, actually, um, because we are all so different. I mean, it, even that's reflected in my DNA strands. I have so many different places that my DNA comes from in just one body. So perhaps, as above, so below, as within, so without. Um, yeah, curious about that, if that feels true for you too. But this multidimensional aspect of me that I've been listening to for years, has a very distinct voice. It can often be prophetic, um, in ways that I mostly always keep to myself. I haven't I haven't accessed this part of me on behalf of other people. It's not like I call myself a channel and take appointments for channeling. Obviously, it's accessed when I speak to clients one on one or in moments like this. I'm listening all the time to this different aspect of myself, pulling in different threads and tapping into the field, as we call it, and the multiverse. And this verse right here. I'm a very grounded person too. So, um, but I've been receiving this voice for quite a while until I said, do you have a name? Because at that time, channeling was becoming really popular. I mean, we're talking 25 years ago now. And it said, yes, you can call us the we. And I was very underwhelmed by that at the time because I thought, well, that's not very fancy. Um, but Spirit's always known how to keep me humble and right-sized in all of this life and interesting supernatural occurrences that have been a part of my life for all my life, I think, I would say. But, similarly, I was given a medicine name in Chile in 2011 by this very fierce Mapuche medicine woman, Luz Clara. Um, and it was Firefly. And I was like, what? Firefly? Really? Can't do better than that? What about Black Panther? You know, something majestic that would imply greater power than a tiny insect that children like to put in jars and presumably they perish. Um, but again, the humility, right? The humbling of that led me to keep it rather close to my chest. And I'm glad that I did. I really don't share that very often. They, the, what would I say? The Mapuche language, it's Kudalkin. Kudalkin is Firefly. I don't even know how I remembered that. Language not being a strong suit of mine. Not different country languages anyway. Unfortunately, I got a lot of great widgets in this life, but I did not get the skill and talent for being a linguist. Anyway, I it took me a minute to realize that, oh no, that's actually perfectly apt name for me, Firefly, because um it implies bringing light into the darkness, um, which is really what I do best, I think. Um, and I mean, who doesn't see a firefly and not feel inspired into their own magic? And I feel like that's part of what I do too, is inspire other people to own and recognize the magic in themselves and in their lives and um, nature. And it's often by, you know, sensitively now, I hope, taking people into the darkness to see that, right? It's often we have to go into our darkness in order to recognize our light and the magic that we are, and the beauty and the awe-inspiring humanity that we carry. So, as it turns out, it was a pretty decent medicine for me. But I remember standing there going, okay, just feeling really not disappointed, but like humbled, truly humbled at the time. My friend that I was with at the time, she got the name Pantera Negra, Black Panther. But it's like, God damn it. Anyway, little shamanic rivalry there. But it was a good name for her, very good name for her. Um, so where was I going with that? Oh, also, you know, the wisdom of it being a quiet name helped me keep it quiet inside of me while it grew, while I grew with it and it grew with me. And so I was never called to make it into a website or use it for branding or all of those things are still a little foreign to me. But it just has resided quietly in my being as medicine for me and for presumably whomever I encounter on this road of life.